I used to take the late-night bus home after my evening shifts at a grocery store in my town. The ride was usually quiet, and most nights I was one of only 2 or 3 people on board. The bus would rumble through dark, empty streets, the only sounds being the hum of the engine and the occasional squeal of the brakes. One night, I got on around 11:45 p.m. The driver gave me his usual nod as I walked toward the middle of the bus. At first, I thought I was the only passenger, but as I sat down, I noticed a man in the very back row. He was slouched over, hood pulled low, and I couldn't really see his face. The bus rolled along, stopping every so often, but no one else got on. Eventually, it was just me, the driver, and that man in the back. I kept glancing over my shoulder, but every time, he was in the exact same position, unmoving. Around halfway home, I heard something strange. It was a faint whisper. At first, I thought it was the driver talking to himself, but when I turned my head, I realized it was coming from the back. The man was whispering, fast and low, almost like he was arguing with someone who wasn't there. I felt my stomach drop. The whispering grew louder. Then, out of nowhere, the man slammed his hand against the window, making me jump. I turned fully around this time and finally saw his face. His eyes were wide open, unblinking, and he was smiling. Not a normal smile, but a stretched, twitching grin. His lips moved as he whispered something I couldn't understand. The driver shouted back, asking if everything was okay. The man didn't respond. He just stood up and started walking down the aisle toward me. My heart was pounding. I clutched my bag and quickly moved up a few rows, closer to the driver. The man followed, still whispering. His grin never faded. The driver finally stopped the bus, stood up, and yelled at the man to sit back down or get off. The man froze, staring at both of us. For a moment, it felt like he was about to lunge forward, but instead, he suddenly darted to the side, slammed open the bus door, and sprinted off into the dark street. The driver locked the doors immediately and muttered, "Some people are just messed up." I nodded, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that if the driver hadn't stopped him, that man would have done something far worse. This next story happened 2 winters ago when I was in college. I used to live off campus, and to save money, I'd take the last bus home at night. It was always cold, the streets empty, and I hated waiting at that particular bus stop. One night, I was standing there alone, my breath visible in the freezing air. The streetlight above me flickered on and off, and the only sound was the wind whistling through the bare trees. After a few minutes, I noticed someone else across the street. It was a woman standing perfectly still under another streetlight. She was facing me, not moving, not even shifting her weight. At first, I thought she was just waiting for a bus too, but something about the way she stood was off. Her arms hung unnaturally straight at her sides, and she never looked away from me. I tried not to stare back, but every time I glanced over, she was still there, still facing me. The bus finally pulled up and I got on, relieved to be leaving. I sat near the front, close to the driver. As the bus pulled away, I looked back at the woman one last time. She was gone. I thought maybe she had just walked off, but then, a few minutes later, I felt something that made my blood run cold. From the reflection in the bus window, I saw her, sitting 3 rows behind me. I hadn't heard her get on, I hadn't seen her walk past the driver, but she was there. Her head was tilted slightly to the side, her eyes locked on me through the dim light of the bus. I didn't know what to do. My mind raced with excuses, like maybe she had boarded while I was distracted. But deep down, I knew I would have noticed. I texted a friend and told him to meet me at my stop just in case. When my stop finally came, I hurried off the bus. My friend was waiting, thank God. But when I turned back to see if the woman got off too, the bus was completely empty. No driver, no passengers, just the empty seats and the faint glow of the interior lights. Back when I was in high school, I had to take the bus home from my part-time job at a fast food restaurant. The last bus usually came around midnight. One particular night, I was exhausted, slouched against the window as the bus rattled along. A few stops later, a man got on. He was tall, dressed in a dirty coat, and carried a backpack that looked like it had been through hell. He sat a few rows behind me, and almost immediately I heard him mumbling. At first I ignored it, but then I realized he was saying my name. I froze. My full name. He repeated it, softly, over and over, like a chant. I had never seen him before. There was no way he should have known who I was. I tried to stay calm and not react, but my heart was pounding. Then the man started talking louder, saying things about me, where I worked, where I lived, even the color of my bedroom walls. At that point, I was terrified. I ran up to the driver and begged him to stop the bus. He must have seen the fear in my eyes, because he pulled over immediately and let me out. Even though it wasn't a stop, I sprinted the rest of the way home, constantly checking behind me. Later that night, I told my parents what happened. My dad drove me back to the bus stop in his car to show me there was nothing to worry about. But when we got there, the driver was still parked, shaken and pale. He told us that after I got off, the man had walked up to the front and asked the driver in a calm voice, "Where does he live? I need to know where he sleeps." The driver kicked him off right there and sped away. To this day, I have no idea how that stranger knew my name, or anything else about me. These were 3 disturbing true horror stories from late-night bus rides. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.